Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be talking about how to use solve equations. So similar to the problems that you see up on the screen here. Just a reminder, this is the normal version. If you want the speedrun version where we go through it pretty quickly, I'll link that in the description below. For your Ricasso Recap, you should already know how to use the distributive property and you should know how to combine like terms. If you want refreshers on these two topics, there will be videos in the description below. Please go watch those before you start this lesson. All right, new lesson starts now. Here we go. So here's our problem. Looks scary, but we're going to break it into 3 steps here. Step 1 says to distribute. We should already know how to distribute. So, okay, so here, when we distribute, here's what we get. Step 1 is done. Step 2 is to combine like terms. Again, we should know how to do this, but what we need to talk about here is this equal sign, there is a wall, okay? And so you would think, okay, I can combine 24G and 12G. They are like terms. Unfortunately, though, there's a wall between them, okay? So you cannot combine through the wall. Similarly, you might try and combine 8 and 10, but the wall separates them, so you cannot combine. However, you can combine 10 and 34. They're on the same side of the wall. So once you combine those, bring everything else down, you get, that would be 44. Plus 12G. All right, step 2 is done. All right, step 3 has 2 parts to it, so let's take this one part at a time. Part 1, move the variables to one side. So the variables here are the letters, right? That would be 24G and 12G. You have to choose, okay? You can put the letters or the variables, right? Variables are just letters. You can put all the letters on the left side or you can put all the letters on the right side. Do you want to move the 12G over here, or do you want to move the 24G over here? I like to put the letters on the left, okay? It's up to you, but I'm going to put the letters on the left. The way that we need to move this 12G over here, okay? We said we can't just move it because there's a wall in between. To move across the wall, you have to do the opposite. So this is plus 12G. The opposite of plus 12G is to minus 12G. And we're going to do it on both sides because think of this as a balance scale. Okay, if you do it on the right side, you must do it on the left side to keep things balanced. All right, so we've moved variables to one side. The second part of this statement says, and the lonely numbers to the other side. Lonely numbers are the numbers that don't have letters attached to them. So that would be the 8 and the 44. Notice it says to the other side, okay? So if I'm putting the letters or the variables, if I'm putting the variables, V for variables, on the left side, that means my lonely numbers have to go on the right side. So that means I need to move this 8 to the other side. So we do the same idea. What's the opposite of plus 8? Okay, I'm going to minus 8, and I'm going to do it on both sides. Now, we go straight down. 24G minus 12G is 12G. 8 minus 8, positive 8 minus 8 is 0, equals 44 minus 8 is 36. 12G minus 12G is 0G. And now, 0G is just 0, and 0 is just 0. So we're going to drop those out of our problem here, and we're left with just this. We're going to leave it here for now, and I'll talk about how to solve it later in the lesson. But for now, we just want to practice moving all of our variables to one side, all of our letters to one side, and all of our lonely regular numbers to the right side. All right, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video. Try these 4 problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, here is the work and final answer. And for the second problem, here is the work and final answer. Okay, for the third problem, here is the work and final answer. And for the last problem, looks a little weird with the division, the fraction bar that we haven't talked a lot about, but all we wanted to do was get the variable on one side and the regular numbers on the right side, which we did. We don't know how to move this 4 yet, but we will talk about that in just a second. All right, so now this is the problem that we already started. So let's bring our work from before. All right, so here's the work we did before. You'll notice that there is a new step 4 here. Okay, so we've done step 1, step 2, step 3. We're on step 4. Step 4 says isolate with opposites. What I mean by isolate is the variable, the letter, wants to be by itself. Okay, but right now it has a 12 stuck right next to it. So we need to figure out a way, how do I move this 12 to the other side? How do I move this 12 across the wall? Well, we're going to do the same thing we did above, which is we're going to do opposites. Now, this is 12 times g. Remember that when they're right next to each other, that means times. So the opposite of multiplying by a 12 would be, well, let's divide by 12. Do it on both sides. And now, 12 divided by 12 is 1g. Perfect, that's what we want. 1g equals 36 divided by 12, which is 3. And this is the final solution. 1g is equal to 3. Could also just put g equals 3, same answer. All right, time to practice. So these are the same 4 problems. So go back to your work for these problems, and let me bring over the work. All right, so here's our work from before. If you want to pause the video, try and now solve these. Do the last step. When you're ready, unpause, and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. All right, for the first problem, I ran out of room, so I did it over here in white. Should have divided by 9 and gotten 1g equals -4. For the second problem, again, final work done in white, should have gotten 1b equals 5. Real quick, a common error here is some students see -8b and say, oh, the opposite is to plus 8b. This is -8 times b, so the opposite is to divide by -8. Be careful on that. For the bottom left, here's the work, should have gotten 1m equals -1. Now for this last problem, we didn't talk about it, but we want to move the 4 over here. So this is b divided by 4. That's what the fraction bar means. So the opposite of dividing by 4 is to multiply by 4 on both sides. Multiply by 4 on both sides. Here, we're not going to talk about this too much. These are fractions. When you do the fraction work, you're going to be left with 1b equals 2.5 times 4 is 10, and this is your final answer. All right, that's it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.